So I would like to have an open discussion about the triple helix concept. The first thing is, what do you think of the triple helix? Is it a good model? Are there limitations to it? Do you think there are alternatives that work better in terms of the national system of innovation? What do you think?
There was a question posed to say, is this model a requirement for South Africa? What I would say is, to me, it's not any new to South Africa. I think NSTF, you are one of the organizations that are already living that model. Because if you look at it, it is saying the 3H is looking at industry, higher education, and government. If you look at it, there is a national roadmap for research, development, and innovation in South Africa, which is already talking to those principles. And if you look at, if I can isolate one of the projects that are currently happening nationally, the use of professorial chairs, where industry is employing chairs from Higher Institute of Learning and working basically in objectives that support government initiatives and those industry initiatives. Already we're living it. And if you look at various organizations, stakeholder participation models, already we're living the 4H model. So I do not know, maybe in other sectors where they've never lived it or tried to implement it, it can be new, but I don't think in South Africa it's a new model.
Thank you. Yes, Lily?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I agree with what's been said, but for me the very interesting part of bringing on board someone that's going to focus what it sounds like is the nature of collaboration, not the structures themselves. If you look at Sustainable Development Goals, if you look at the UN, if you look at the World Health Organization, if you look at national and international bodies, our biggest issue is everybody is driving for collaboration, but no one has quite figured out how to do it. So I don't think the triple helix is saying they've figured out how to do it, but the fact that they're focusing on trying to create pathways and potential mechanisms to make collaboration happen is incredibly useful on every single level.
Thank you, Debbie. That's an interesting point. Because at every single one of our discussion forums, we have this coming up. People saying people work in silos, they don't share their knowledge, they don't want to work together, they are not aware of what each other's doing, they don't form collaborations. So that would be an argument for it. Okay, then if we accept that a triple helix is a useful model, where do you think a chapter of the Triple Helix Association should be based? It doesn't need to be an organization like NSTF, it could be a university, some kind of research institution. It doesn't really matter, but they require an existing organization. Yes, ma'am.
Not specifically to a particular organization. I think the previous speaker has already said it. The elements are there. The challenges is how to foster it and how to enable it.
Exactly.
If you realize the presentation from TTI, it spoke about gaps in systems. I think there are gaps that can be attended to in order to properly formalize that model and make sure that there is buy-in to implement it, to avoid those working in silos. I think it will be departments like the Department of Science and Technology, but I think they are doing a lot especially with partnership with the Water Research Commission. If you look at the platforms such as the Waiter for technology, already is telling you that things are happening. Maybe if we can have a national dialogue to say where are the gaps, who are remaining behind, what can be done.
Oh, that is a very interesting suggestion. Thank you. Anyone else?
There were previous speakers at one of the NSTF discussion forums that we had that were actually at the CSIR that spoke on the analysis. I can't remember which research unit it was, but it was around the Sustainable Development Goals. They were actually doing analysis around collaboration and how to make that function. It does make sense then to bring it potentially under, I would never put it under a government umbrella because of the politics involved in that. But something like, if it's not the CSR, if they're too aligned to government, then potentially the NSTF, but with links to those particular researchers that we know are conducting specific work on how to do collaboration.
Yes.
As a suggestion.
Yes.
Okay. What I would say, yes, I want to agree with the previous speaker. The plan is there. I will talk based on my experience. There is a collaboration with these departments of government departments, let me put it like that. But what is lacking is the focus is only on agreements. It's high level talk they have, but the information doesn't filter down to people who practice what is preached in these engagements they have. I think what is lacking is, as much as they have this high-level talk, they need to include people on the ground that will implement what is being discussed in those whatever collaborative meetings they have. But we need to have people who will practice what has been preached in those engagements.
I have a question. It's not necessarily regard what or speak to what we're discussing now, but then the prof here spoke to it is that as young scientists, specifically in the basic sciences field, you get discouraged when you get to master's level and you want to look for career opportunities and you find there's not much to go to, and also you're kind of limited towards sales careers, and if not, then you're stuck in academia. Is there any provisions for that with regard to industry that's being worked on, as you guys I think would know more than we do as students? Because as a master's student, you'd want to carry on to your PhD and postdoc and go further, but then you'd also like to know that there is an option to go to industry where there is opportunity for growth and for actual employment, and not just limited to sales careers or doing something that you did not study.
Right. I don't know. Does anyone else know? What I can say is I think the information's on the web, but it's all on different websites. And so it's very difficult to know as a student where you must go and look for those kinds of things. So maybe there's a need for some coordination there and making that kind of information available. Certainly if you're on a program of a research council, then it would be obvious what you're doing, or if you know someone at your university. But I hear what you're saying. It's actually very difficult if you're thinking of the whole of South Africa and all the institutions that there are. Yes.
Just to follow up on that as well, I think a good point was made that these collaborations have to have a shared purpose. Some of the work that my research group is doing in collaborating with both private industry and some governmental agencies, it would facilitate breaking down silos if there were incentives. So even with government agencies, if there was an incentive to those government agencies to work with researchers, that then masters, PhD, and postdocs can work on translational research that can advance what they're doing as well. Right. And I think we need to maybe focus a little bit on that, and maybe through the Triple Helix model through NSTF or other groups. I think we just need to somehow incentivize some of the agencies that have silos to break those down, to work with research.
Right. Sure. As usual, it's become a very huge vision, but I think it's worth investigating it, seeing what can be done, because there's an obvious need. Yes.
I think Triple Helix is a very good model. It will inspire collaboration and fuel innovation. However, I think that we need to extend these talks to include industry as well, and also the government. It should not be only amongst the academics, but it should be extended outside the academic circle.
Thank you. Yes, I hear you. At the conference that was held, the International Triple Helix Conference, it was actually very academic. And there were specially invited speakers who were from industry and business. But you don't automatically get people from industry and business being interested in that kind of collaboration. So that would be a challenge. Okay? All right, thank you very much for your participation in this discussion. I hope it has been, it started your thoughts going as well. And what we'll certainly try and do from NSTF is to come up with a concept of how it could work and how we could consult the key stakeholders in the system to see if this would be useful. Thank you very much for your feedback.